Okay. So, hi everyone, I'm Ludovico, and today we're going to speak about to test a React application, and we were going to start from the unit level to the end-to-end. How many of you know testing? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you do test? Really? Lower your hands? Lower your hands? Okay, okay, now it's better. Okay, apart of jokes, who I am, I'm Ludovico. Who doesn't know me, I'm a senior test engineer at Nearform, also SheTech ambassador and Grafana and Browser Stack champion. I've co-founded different startups in the tech field, and I like to contribute in the open source world, mainly for the educational. In Italy, Italian says that I'm a tamarro. I don't want to explain what is a tamarro now, but I have some passions like cars, video games, and animals. Also, I like to organize some events in Milan mainly. These are just a bunch of them. And the news is that I'm also organizing Grafana and Friends meetup, the official one. Couple of words about my company. I'm not the owner of the company for sure, but this is the company which I work for. We love open source, as you can see from our t-shirts. These are some of the numbers that we have, and if you are interested, you can check the careers links below, or ask me later. But we are not here for talking about Nearphone, we are talking about test. How many of you, maybe, after spending hours while working, have seen this situation in which you can see a full screen of green tests, maybe hundreds of thousands of them passing? Raise your hand. Really? Okay. Yeah, this is your face when you are happy because all the tests are passing, and yeah, maybe the React application will work. But then, suddenly, in production, or maybe in local development, these kinds of errors start appearing, or these bugs start appearing. And then you realize that maybe something is not working, and then you become like this. Okay, so there is why we are here today. So why do React apps break in production? There are many reasons. Okay, there could be many reasons. In my idea, the common pain points are those ones. So usually, when you are currently developing your application, you're doing tests, you can have small UI regression problems, mostly reported by users, right? Or integration issues or performance problems in different environments that you can have. And also, observability lacks, because observability, in reality, it's difficult. And I think that is one of the skills that needs to be mastered these years. So just to go more in depth in these kinds of problems, what I can say is that most of the React code bases that I've seen during my career are like this. So we have like unit tests, mainly developed using Jest, that is a framework, for sure. I hope that you know that. For trying to do tests in the individual functions of your code, trying to be as possible as it can, isolated for the single components. As well, we have snapshot tests. Jest allows you to do that, but sometimes can break, and you need to remember that you need to update them. And manual QA or visual checks are done at the end. So most of the times, the developers push code in different branches. Most of the time, they are not aligned, and the test is done at the end. And this is not really something that is working, because as we know, React components don't live in isolation, because can have integration from other environments or APIs or states, etc. The UI evolves really fast, because in the day you start testing something, 1 week later, you can find many, many new stuff inside. If you are working, for example, for a big project, and you are the only tester. like always. So snapshots are outdated, for example. And also, manual testing can scale in an application that, let's say, constantly getting new features, new requirements to test, different scenarios, different users, different regression maybe. So it's impossible to test something that, let's say, exponentially scale. So, breaking news. Testing is, I don't know if you have seen this on TV, but we have a new multi-layer testing approach that I want to propose you today. And yeah, for sure, we will start talking about the Mike Cohn's original test pyramid. How many of you know this? Raise your hand. Okay, it's not so many. Why? Okay, this is a standard testing concept that since because I've seen so less hands raised, I want to just explain. This pyramid tells you which are the importance level of the test, so the amount of tests that you should need to implement while you are testing. Because, let's say, to implement unit tests, it seems difficult sometimes, but it's really, really less cost than implement the end-to-end, that is at the top level of the pyramid. So as well, the unit tests are more faster than the end-to-end or integration. And starting from this concept, okay, we, let's say, connect the fact that testing is very deep, okay. Those that says that QAs or tester doesn't need to have technical skills, I don't know why these people still exist, but I don't know. Doesn't know that testing is really deep. I was a developer, I'm still a developer, and then I changed my career to testing, and then I started loving this because it's amazing how much you can go deep in various sectors. And I mean, we don't have time to do all of these kinds of tests, so that's why I think this kind of pyramid. This is, let's say, a similar approach to Kelsey Dutz. I don't know how many of them know him. But what I think, let's say, is that we can fully test a React application by doing this. If you have all of these steps in your React test, let's say, stack, you can say your app is safe. My vision is to have this. I know that it's pretty much impossible most of the times, but this, in my opinion, is something that if you have in your React application or your mobile app, and it's done good, so it's working, right? You can say it's safe. The release will be fine because we cover all the possible problems. This. So the previous slide connects to this one because without a pipeline, it can work. So the confidence pipeline, because this more than finding bugs is to give us confidence of the work that we do daily, it's multi-layered, as you have seen, because cover the full cycle of the application from the starting, before you commit actually, to the end. That is what the user expects to see and see. It's integrated into CI because it needs to be something that gives immediate feedback to the developers that are working in the product. Because, I mean, if someone put a breaking change, that can be a stupid error into the application, you should receive an immediate feedback that can be not only, let's say, a red gate that say you can't, let's say, create a pull request if this is a problem, you can't commit if you fix this, right? So it's important, or maybe you're receiving an email, right? So it's important to get these kinds of alerting in the various steps that we have seen earlier. And also, the last thing is that it needs to be observable, because without data, I'm a pragmatic guy, for who does know me. So if you don't have some real data to see or to connect or to maybe compare, you can't really say something that is really real, okay? So that's why I put a service level objective, etc. So now, I've given you the solution, you should be happy again. Let's see in detail. I know that we don't have enough time because this is really a huge, can be a talk for, I mean, at least 2 days. And not 2 days, some hours, 2 days, full hours. But I will try my best to explain what I think in some of the layers that I've showed you. Let's start with the first one, that is the static analysis. I hope that everyone here has some static analysis tests in their projects. So what essentially does, they catch bugs before you actually run the program sometimes, or before you actually commit. So you can use TypeScript for checking, at compile level, some errors, as lint or Prettier for checking if your code is actually good or formatted in a good way. Because one thing that I didn't write inside this presentation is that I really appreciate developers or testers that writes developer guidelines inside projects, because really is helpful to know which are the standards or the way in which the code needs to be written before starting reading or writing, right? It's kind of documentation, essentially, for every project, because it's important to document what you do. So tests are also part of documentation. Commit, as I said before, using ASCII. And then you can use external tools like Cynic or other tools to check if there are some problems or some packages to update. For every level of the, let's say, the pyramid, I prepared some quick wins checklist that you can take a photo or then check after the slide will be published to say, okay, we are good to go at this level. These are some of my recommendations, but we will skip. Let's go to layer 1. So layer 1, as we've seen, it's unit test. And we will see this using Jest and React testing library. This essentially represents unit test. Unit testing at all. Because many projects in which I have worked on, in which I have been consulted, when I was having a company myself, yes, I've done that, has got a lot of unit tests. But then, when you open the app in the browser, look like this. And then you think, why, right? And the problems are these ones, because the traditional approach is to check just the code, to check the function, to check maybe the states. But then, for what I think, it's important to try to reproduce the point of the user, the point of view of the users, also in the unit test. So we can use a new approach. This is just a simple example where we don't do anything difficult and just using the user event, passing some actions to the component and check them. And this is, as you can see, a part of using the new methods, is acting as a user, but not from an end-to-end level, but at a unit level. So another problem here is that most of the times people ask me or asked me in the years, oh, Ludovico, you are good in writing end-to-end tests. Help me, okay. And then after helping them, I go back to their repository and check that they have written thousands of end-to-end tests for nothing. And then the problems are two. The first one is that the CI took hours. So every pull request needs hours to be checked because the end-to-end still run. And then cost. Because to run the end-to-end in different environments, in different scenarios, in different, landscape, etc., takes money because machines needs to be paid, right? So if we can put some tests that say from the end-to-end level to the unit 1 will be less expensive and much faster to execute them. So again, for the unit testing, these are my quick wins. And as you can see, something that I don't know if you have seen before, but talking about mocks, it is good to mock. But if you only mock, you are not testing. Okay? So keep in mind this. This is the second page because another thing that is important to do also, and you can do it from a unit level, is to test accessibility issues. And you can do it from a unit level instead of maybe running Axe at external level and I don't know, it's slower, it costs more, again, the same stuff. Okay, let's move on to the second layer, that is the visual interaction one. Personally, they don't pay me, but this is, I don't know, the fifth time that I mentioned Storybook, but it's really good in my opinion, because the approach is easy. You know Lego? Raise your hand if you know Lego. Yeah, essentially the Lego approach. So starting from the single components, you move on to create a library, and then you create your design library that is published in a separate environment. And the good thing about this is that you can delegate tests to other people that maybe are not so technical, because if you are alone, you don't have time to do all the stuff, because you need to take care about maybe the CI that are failing, the new test, the dog, I don't know, okay? So this is important to keep in mind, because Storybook, like I said for the unit test, can help you to save some end-to-end tests. Because most of the people test UI at the end-to-end. You can test it using Storybook. How? This is the interface of Storybook. This is a Shopify. Shopify is not the last client or last company. It's important. And is using Storybook because they can test not only the functional stuff of the components and the different states, but also the accessibility, as you can see here. Okay. Okay? So again, you can and you need to split the test in the middle levels or at the lower ones. Because at the end-to-end, you need to try to keep only the critical path in the different environments. And this is my personal opinions. Okay, another stuff that you can do with Storybook is that you can use AI and another tool that they have that is called Chromatic to check if the components have some visual regressions. And as you can see on the right, not my right, okay, Storybook highlights what is the differences in green. This helps you because how many times maybe you have struggled with the designer trying to check if he changed something, someone changes something, if during the time things are changing. In my opinion, this is the best way to track if something is changed, and then you can version it that, because without the possibility to version it, it's difficult to say, I don't know, the version at that time was, okay, because with versioning, you can say the date, the time, who maybe has done the fix or the edit. And also, nice stuff that can provide you is to add an extra gate in your pipeline. So if the UI test is not passing, the pull request can be merged. And again, we are building a gate in our, let's say, process, and each of these gates are connected starting from the scratch to the top, right? And if something fails, you need to fix it. These are my quick wins for the visual test. Nice thing about, let's say, interaction is that with the add-on interaction, you can actually simulate the behavior of the components. And the cool stuff is that let's say, Storybook has created a tool that is called the test runner. And actually, you can try to do some kinds of end-to-end, but at a component level, using interaction test in CI. It's magic. Because, again, if you do all of these tests at this level, you don't have to test it again in the end-to-end. And also, again, Ali and the documentation as well, because if you use Autodocs, then you can say the document should behave like this. If in the button, let's say, be passed too much text, it needs to act like that. Okay, it's kind of documentation. And it's better like a ticket in Jira, for example. So the cool stuff. Let's talk about end-to-end now. Playwright. I put Playwright just because some years ago, maybe I don't know how much years ago, but some years ago I was in Microsoft talking about Playwright, and was the new, come at the Playwright, everyone shifted from Selenium. It's no, you can't use Selenium. You should change because it's not working. We have Selenium for decades, right? But then suddenly Microsoft published this, and then everyone should change. Actually, it's good. If you want to check the video, you can do it. I will not do the same talk. But what I can say about Playwright, it's great. It's not the only option. And if we talk about mobile environments, I personally prefer WebDriver.io because allows you to check actually mobile apps using Appium rather than Playwright that doesn't support that yet. Yeah, don't spend too much time on this. These are some of my recommendations. And one thing that I want to say that maybe is not part of the previous talk is that with Playwright, not so many people know that, but you can use some features for checking the performance, actually. I don't know if you know page.metrics, maybe. How many of you knows that? Oh, okay, just one end. Okay. But it's a great feature, and you should try it. And then these are my advices. Then, the next layer, performance and reliability test. Grafana, yes. Why Grafana? Because, again, I've done a talk some years ago when this tool comes out, and was the same exact story, because I was using JMeter at that time. JMeter is a quick tool that looks like the, I don't know if you know the old cars, very old cars with the, it's the same. But it worked, and then this comes out, and I've changed it. And then I started advocating for this because essentially it's easier. A developer can and should read this code, actually, because it's JavaScript or TypeScript. And so this makes things more easier for everyone, because if you are the tester and you need to do performance tests, you can share these tests with developers. Earlier, with JMeter, not so many developers knows about JMeter or performance testing. Again, it's a big topic. We can't do this now. But what I can say about this tool is that it's really great. And I think that the best way to use this tool is to combine it with service level objectives. So instead of just doing some performance test, passing some VU stands for virtual users, okay? Instead of passing just random virtual users and try to replicate, I don't know, the spike test, sock test, breakpoint test, etc., you can actually create some tests based on your SLOs and say, okay, this performance on the app are not met in these scenarios. And actually, the great thing is that you can combine the end-to-end approach to this tool and try to replicate some scenarios, like, I don't know, if you are on the cart, for example, on e-commerce, you can say your user can go in the cart page, and you want to just check if the checkout button and the page still loads, also if the, let's say, user at that moment are really high at the level. And you can do it with K6 easily. And the great stuff is that you can send results rather than having to download the external plugins. I was talking about JMeter. You need to download external plugins, maybe develop a custom dashboard, etc. Since because it's been acquired by Grafana, it's an easy tool that can allows you to just send the results on Grafana. Also, you can choose between Tempo and the other tools that Grafana have. And this is very helpful because when you are doing breakpoint test, and this means just sending requests until the application will break, you can actually track all the data. A breakpoint test can be like 3 hours test, something. So it's really great. And these, like the setup and Grafana run K6 action, are easy to add. So let's give it a try. Tools. This is another image. This is a synthwave one because I've done this in Naples, and they have laughed. But yes, this is the same meme in every slide. Because tools are difficult to choose. There are a bunch of them, many of them, thousands of them. But then, for you, just for you today, right, I've prepared a beautiful Excel table that contain all the tools that I recommend personally for each of the layers that I've explained to you today. So we have some more. Of course, we don't have time to do this now. But if you see, for each of the layers, you can find something that actually can help you in your React development application. And it's important to not doing, let's say, all of this stuff at the same time, but trying to do them gradually. Some resources. So this is the course that I personally did last year. I was already skilled in JavaScript. I hope yes. I was already skilled in testing. Yes. But given me a great new point of view in some of the concepts between mocking and some of the new tools like mock service worker. So give it a try if you are new in this world. And then books, for sure, because if you want to master this topic, again, testing is not easy. And as I was saying earlier, maybe it's not sexy for you. For me, yes. But if you want to master this, these are my best choice that I recommend. The first one, the full stack testing one, is really a good one because it covers everything. So it helps you navigate through the concept that I have showcased today. And also the other two that essentially explain you how you can practically develop some test cases in React, something that I want to do, but obviously now we can't. And something more about the approach, because most of the times the test activities failed, not because of the tools, not because of the people, but because of the culture in the company and maybe in the team. So before trying to add at least the static level, okay, this is important, fundamental. But before start trying these tools, try to check if your company has the right mindset to add something like this. And also the team. Because, again, test is not just finding bugs, it's to help you do your job better, right? Last but not least, in terms of book, this is one friends of mine books. Personally reviewed the testing chapter inside it, so it's written good. No, part of jokes, Luciano is really great writing books. But since because React can also impact backend, we didn't speak so much about backend. But if you want to know which are my tools, essentially now I'm really into Bruno for the APIs. But then suddenly I can use same Playwright, Cypress, etc. But give it a try also to this because it's really great. So 3 takeaways. Again, I will repeat myself, but it's important to start with the values, not just with the tools, because you can go everywhere with anyone and saying, oh, I found that the Playwright, Ludovico told me about Playwright, it's great. But then your team kind of, right, giving you not the great vibes to do this. So try to check if the culture is good first and fix it before doing this. The test in all the levels that you have seen today needs to be done from a user perspective, a part of security, of course, a part of writing ciao ciao, right? But it needs to do like a user because you are implementing an application for a user that needs to be happy because in the mobile world, when someone is not happy, puts you 1 star in the app stores. In the web world, it's different, but you are losing money and maybe a client. So test it like a user, measure it like an engineer. And again, testing is a culture, needs to be grow in your company, and it's not a task to be done. This is a famous quote. I don't know if you know him, but never rest, always test. Thank you.